Hi, this is Darren Mitchell and happy Wednesday. Trust you're doing well. In today's video, I wanted to share some thoughts on perception, really perception of others, and how sometimes we can be susceptible to the opinions of others. And it's quite topical because it came out of a workshop yesterday I ran for a small organization and their sales team. And one of the sales guys towards the end of the session was sharing with me how, first of all, he's probably 5 to 10 years younger than most of his peers in his sales team. And in relation to his customer base, he's probably anywhere from 20 to 25 years younger than his typical customer. So he's operating in an environment where a lot of his customers, potential customers, have been in business for a long, long time. And he's finding it quite difficult to establish some credibility in the eyes of those customers. And it all came down to this concept of perception. He goes, every time I go into a customer or a potential customer, I find myself having to try and convince them or impress upon them as to why they should listen to me. I've got the knowledge, I've got experience, and I know what I'm talking about, but yet I find myself having to convince them to listen to me. He said, is there a way to get over this? And I said, well, one of the things we need to be really conscious of is whether you're a salesperson or whether you're a sales leader, so hopefully this message will resonate, is we don't have to be at the mercy of other people's opinions, or we don't have to be at the mercy of other people's perceptions of us. And often it's the stuff that goes on inside of our head that creates this impression that other people have this certain perception. Now you might be getting some feedback from your customers, or you might even have some feedback from somebody within your business. And this could be now, could be in the years gone past, where you're too young, you're too this, you're too that. Now whether it's age, whether it's gender, whether it's demographic, whatever it is, there's always something that somebody's got an opinion on. But that opinion doesn't have to be your reality. And that was the key message out of yesterday, and that's the key message for today. If you're dealing with people who have a certain perception of you and you're having to try and convince them that you're worthy of being listened to, you're going to lose the game. Don't play that game. In fact, other people's opinions, quite frankly, I don't care what their opinions are. Now, they can influence stuff on me in terms of decisions around buying, but they don't have to imprint on me what their perception is to the point where I actually take that on board and I accept that to be a reality. So I was talking to this team yesterday, and we worked through a few things with this particular guy, and I said, well, when you go into the customer next time, instead of going in there and thinking about how can I convince him to take my product, how can I convince him to give me half an hour so he can listen to me with my sales spiel, I said, instead of doing that, think about what sort of problems does he have? What sort of insights can you draw from dealing with other people in the same industry that might have a problem that he might also have but hasn't yet been able to articulate? Because I said, here's the interesting thing, and this is something I learned from a mentor many years ago. He said, in sales, our job really is to solve problems. But before we can solve problems, we have to identify a problem. Now, if we can identify a problem better than a customer can, and if we can then articulate that problem better than they can in their own words, then unconsciously what they're going to do is they're going to give us the credit, and they'll have a belief that we may have a solution to that, which automatically increases the level of credibility and their ability to listen to us because we might have a solution to put on the table. Now, when that happens, all of a sudden you've changed the game. You're no longer convincing them as to why they need to take your product. You're asking them questions to find out, do they have a problem? Is there a possible solution to that problem? And if there is, it's incumbent on me to share that solution with them. So it shouldn't matter whether you're 15 years younger or 25 years younger than the customer you're dealing with. It's about asking good quality questions and being a professional problem solver. Because I said to him, Tony, I'll call this guy Tony, it's not his real name. I said, Tony, you don't have anything to prove. You've got a great product and the product speaks for itself because it's got a market share. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to convince him based on your perception that you're a lot younger, based on what he's told you because you're too young. And so you've taken it on board as being a reality. Switch it around. And I said, I gave him an example of a lot of people I work with when it comes to trying to get a promotion or go for an interview. They'll often ask, what sort of killer questions can I ask? Or how do I convince this employer, this prospective employer, as to pick me because I'm the best person for the job? And I said, it's the wrong attitude, right? Now, there's a very fine line here, so just stay with me. There's a very fine line between confidence and arrogance. So we're not talking about arrogance here. But I said, when you really look at it, when you're going for an interview, and the same applies for when you're in front of a customer from a sales perspective, you don't have to convince them as to why you should be the person for that role. You don't have to convince your customer that yours is the best product. You have to believe that that's the best product, and you have to believe that you're the best person. But what you're actually doing is you're thinking, well, would I want to work for this organization? would I want to do business with this particular customer? So the interview process, even though you're going through the interview process and might be answering questions, or the potential customers asking you questions as to why your product is the best, if your mindset is, no, what I'm actually doing is I'm interviewing them as to why I should do business with them, and it's a completely different view on the whole thing. So please, the key message added today is you don't have anything to prove. Whether you're young, whether you're old, whether you're male or female, it doesn't really matter. What does matter is what's happening inside your head. Now, what we talked about last week is if you can focus on being interested in people, then you'll all of a sudden through that process ask higher quality questions, much better questions, and you'll through that process become more interesting to those people. So please don't be at the mercy of other people's opinions of you, and don't take it on board as being gospel. Always challenge it, but challenge it by seeking how can I best solve problems. So please look for opportunities where you can be genuinely interested in other people. Don't have to convince anybody of anything. If you believe you've got the best product, the best service, or you are the best person for a particular role, you've got to believe that, but you've got to act with confidence, and you've got to act as if I've got the elixir, I've got the thing that people want, and they have to earn the right for this. And so I don't have to convince anything of anything, and you don't have to do that either. So whether you're a sales leader who's relatively new, or whether you're a sales leader who has salespeople who are relatively new, or whether you've just got salespeople who are having some issues with other people's opinions of them and they're taking it too much on board, get them to change their thinking. First of all, think, I've got nothing to prove, but how do I seek to serve people rather than convince people? And if you do that, you'll be amazed at what actually happens. So I trust that message was of value. It certainly helped Tony yesterday and his sales team, and hopefully that was of value to you guys as well. So if we haven't connected, love to do that. Best way to do that is either through LinkedIn, send me a connection request, and I'll be sure to accept that request. Also, if I can be of any assistance, if you want to have a chat about how I might be able to help you and your sales team in relation to taking your sales to the next level, and for you as a sales leader moving towards exceptional, simply send me an email, and the best email address is Darren, D-A-R-R-E-N, @darrenmitchell.com.au. And until next time, continue to push the envelope, continue to not take on board other people's opinions of you as your reality, and continue to be exceptional. So have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.